Fog swallows Blackwood Hall, and a scream slices the night Hercule Poirot steps from the shadows. Welcome to the story. Grab a cup of tea. Take a seat and enjoy the tale. If you love the suspense, subscribe. Now your support means the world to us. Tell us in the comments from where you are watching. This Chapter 1, Arrival in the Storm. The grand oak doors of Blackwood Hall creak open under the weight of a stormy English night wind, howls through the corridors, rattling crystal chandeliers, and sending candle flames dancing like frightened ghosts. Hercule Poirot, the little Belgian detective with the impeccable moustache and the mind sharper than a stiletto, enters the marble foyer, his patent leather shoes clicking a steady rhythm against the cold stone behind him. Captain Hastings trails carrying their valises, his face pale under the flickering gas lamps. The butler, a tall, gaunt man named Grimshaw, greets them with eyes that seem to hold secrets older than the house itself. "Welcome, Monsieur Poirot," he says, his voice a low rumble. "The family awaits in the drawing room, but mind the shadows, they play tricks." Here Poirot nods his green eyes, scanning every corner, every portrait, every suit of armour that lines the entrance hall. He notices the dust on the banister, the faint smell of damp earth and something metallic beneath it. Blood, perhaps, or merely the scent of old iron. He does not say. Instead, he adjusts his bow tie and follows Grimshaw down the long hallway, lined with tapestries depicting ancient battles. Hastings hurries to keep pace, whispering, "Do you think the rumours are true, old man, about the conspiracy, the hidden society, the murders?" Poirot raises a finger to his lips. "Silence, mon ami, the little grey cells must work without distraction." They enter the drawing room, a cavernous space warmed by a roaring fire, yet chilled by the tension that hangs thicker than the smoke from Lord Blackwood's pipe. 5 people turn to face them. Lord Reginald Blackwood, broad-shouldered man in his 60s, with a beard like steel wool. His wife, Lady Eleanor, thin and elegant, her pearls gleaming like tiny moons. Their son Charles, a young officer home from the war, his uniform crisp, but his eyes haunted their daughter. Victoria, a beauty with raven hair and a gaze that could freeze wine. And finally, Dr. Felix Hawthorne, the family physician, a slight man with round spectacles and fingers that never stop twitching. Lord Blackwood rises, his voice booming yet edged with fear. "Monsieur Poirot, thank heaven you have come 3 nights ago. My brother Sir Geoffrey was found dead in the library, stabbed through the heart. No weapon, no footprints in the dust, and this morning a letter arrived, sealed with black wax warning that I am next, the others will follow unless the truth of the Blackwood curse is silenced forever." Poirot listens, his head tilted like a bird studying a worm. He asks to see the body and the letter. But first he requests that everyone remain in the room. No one leaves. No one enters until he says so. Hastings watches as Poirot circles the group like a shark in shallow water. He stops before Victoria. "Tell me, Mademoiselle, what did you hear on the night your uncle died?" She hesitates, then speaks, softly, a whisper in the walls. A name repeated: Elias. "Elias Blackwood, the founder of this house, hanged for treason 2 centuries ago." Poirot nods. "Elias. Yes. The family legend says his spirit guards a secret, a conspiracy that binds the living, and the dead Dr. Hawthorne interrupts. Nonsense. Pure superstition. The man died of a blade, not a ghost." Poirot smiles thinly. "Superstition, Doctor, is often the cloak that hides truth." He moves to the fireplace, examining the mantel where a row of antique, Daggers once hung one space empty, the missing weapon. Perhaps he runs a gloved finger along the edge of the hearth, finding a smear of dried blood invisible to the untrained eye. Hastings gasps, but Poirot merely pockets a sample in a small glass vial. Then he turns to Charles. "The war hero, your revolver, Captain. May I see it?" Charles hesitates, then draws the weapon from his holster. Poirot sniffs the barrel. Recently fired. "Yes, within the last day." Charles pales. "I was cleaning it this morning. Nothing more." Poirot does not press. Instead, he asks Grimshaw to lead them to the library, the scene of the crime. The corridor grows darker as they walk, portraits seeming to follow with painted eyes. The library door stands ajar, a heavy padlock, freshly. Broken inside books lie scattered like fallen soldiers. The great oak desk overturned, and in the centre of the Persian rug, the chalk outline of Sir Geoffrey's body. Poirot kneels, his magnifying glass gleaming. He traces the floorboards, finding scuff, marks that lead to a bookcase he pushes, and a hidden panel swings open, revealing a narrow staircase spiralling down into darkness. Hastings shivers. What is this place? Poirot lights a match, the flame revealing stone walls damp with centuries of moisture. This, my friend, is where the conspiracy begins. Elias Blackwood did not die alone. He took secrets with him, secrets worth killing for the match, gutters out, plunging them into black. Poirot whispers, "We must return to the others, but keep your eyes open. Someone in this house knows these stairs. Someone who kills, to keep the past buried." Back in the drawing room, the family waits, faces tight with suspicion. Poirot stands before the fire, his small frame casting a giant shadow. Listen carefully. He says the murder was no random act. The killer knew the houses hidden. Ways knew Sir Geoffrey would be alone, knew the dagger would vanish. The letter is a warning, but also a boast. The murderer believes himself safe, yet the little grey cells never. Sleep tomorrow. I will question each of you alone. And tonight, no one sleeps behind locked doors. Grimshaw will patrol the hall's lady. Eleanor clutches her pearls. Will we be safe? Poirot bows. Safety, madame, is an illusion. Until truth is unveiled, he turns to Hastings. "Come. We have much to prepare." The storm outside grows louder, thunder shaking the foundations of Blackwood Hall, lightning illuminating the windows for split seconds. In those flashes, Hastings swears he sees a figure on the lawn, cloaked and hooded, watching the house. Poirot sees it too, but says nothing. Not yet. As the clock strikes midnight, Poirot retires to the guest suite. A modest room with a four-poster bed and a window overlooking the moor. He sits at a small desk arranging his notes. The letter with its black seal, the blood sample, the scuff marks, the hidden stairs. Each piece a thread in a tapestry of deceit. He pours a tisane from his travel flask, the scent of chamomile calming his mind. Hastings paces. "You think it's one of them, don't you?" Poirot nods. "Yes, but which one and why?" The motive lies in the past. The conspiracy of Elias Blackwood, a society that never died, only slept outside. The wind screams like a banshee, and somewhere in the house a door creaks open. Footsteps, soft but deliberate, echo in the corridor. Poirot rises, his hand on the light switch. He waits. The steps pause outside his door, then move on. He exhales slowly. The game has begun, and the hunter is also the hunted. Tomorrow, the questions. Tomorrow, the lies will crack. But tonight, Blackwood Hall holds its breath. The chapter ends with Poirot staring into the darkness, his moustache twitching the faintest smile on his lips. The little grey cells are awake, and the conspiracy stirs in the shadows. Chapter 2. The Midnight Interrogation. Dawn leaks grey light through the mullioned windows of the breakfast room, where silver domes sweat over cooling kidneys, and Kedgeré Poirot enters alone. His footsteps muffled by the thick Wilton carpets, a family already seated like statues around the mahogany table. Lord Blackwood grips a newspaper folded to hide trembling hands. Lady Eleanor stares into black coffee. Victoria toys with a slice of toast untouched. Charles stands by the window revolver, holster empty, Dr. Hawthorne, buttering the same triangle of bread. For the 5th time, Grimshaw pours tea with mechanical precision. Poirot refuses a chair. Instead, he places a small leather notebook on the table open to a fresh page. The first name I require is yours, Doctor, he says. Voice soft as falling ash. Hawthorne blinks behind his spectacles. I was asleep when Geoffrey died, asked the maid. She brought my cocoa at 11. Poirot writes the hour, then underlines it twice. Cocoa. Yes. Warm milk. Perhaps a sedative you prescribe such things for the family. Hawthorne flinches. The notebook closes with a snap. We begin, he leads Hawthorne to the conservatory glass walls fogged with hothouse breath orchids drooping like exhausted spies. Poirot closes the door, the click loud in the humid silence. Tell me about the ledger you removed from Geoffrey's coat the night he died. Hawthorne pales. Ledger. What ledger? Poirot produces a scrap of vellum torn from a larger book, ink still damp with blood. 3 columns of numbers, dates, names ending with the initials E.B. Elias Blackwood. Hawthorne lunges for the paper, but Poirot steps aside. The doctor crashes into a potting bench soil, exploding across the tiles. Clumsy doctor for a man who signs death. Certificates with such steady script. Hawthorne straightens, brushing dirt from his waistcoat. Geoffrey was blackmailing us all. The society never dissolved after the war. We kept the investments. The offshore accounts he wanted out threatened to expose. Everything to the treasury. Poirot nods. The motive ripens. Yet you did not kill him. Why? Hawthorne laughs bitter. I am a healer, not a butcher. Besides, the dagger was already in his chest when I arrived. Poirot studies the man's shaking hands. Healer. Yes, but hands that shake now from fear or guilt. They return to the breakfast room, where Charles waits alone. The others dismissed to their rooms. Poirot gestures to the empty chair. Your turn, Captain. Charles sits rigid, spine straight as a ramrod. Poirot lays the revolver on the table barrel, pointing away 6 rounds, missing 1 fired yesterday. You said cleaning. Yet the lands are fouled with fresh powder. Charles meets his gaze. I fired at a rat in the cellar. Vermin everywhere in this house. Poirot lifts the weapon. Sniffs again. The scent of cordite lingers like a confession. Rat or brother, Captain? The bullet in the library wall matches this caliber. Charles leans forward. Voice low. Geoffrey discovered the tunnel maps in father's study. Plans to sell the estate to foreign buyers, dismantle the society piece by piece. I confronted him. He laughed. Said the war taught him loyalty is a luxury I could not afford. The shot was warning, only he turned too quickly. The dagger was already there, I swear. Poirot closes his eyes, reconstructing the moment, the argument, the flash. The body, falling across the desk, blood pooling into the rug fibres. He opens them. Charles, your warning killed no one yet. It placed you at the scene. Grimshaw appears. At the door, Monsieur the Post has come a second letter. Black wax again. Poirot breaks the seal inside a single line, written in the same spidery hand. The seller holds the truth, but the truth bites. He folds the note. We go below. Now, Captain, you will show the way. Charles hesitates, then nods, leading them through the kitchen, past the scullery to a narrow door set into the stone. A rusted key turns with a screech. The cellar stairs descend into blackness. Damp air, thick with the smell of mould, and something sharper. Gun oil lantern light reveals crates stamped with faded crests. Ammunition from the great war boxes of ledgers bound in red leather. Charles opens one pages filled with coded transactions, gold bullion moved through Swiss banks. In 1919, 1923, 1927. Each entry signed EB at the bottom. Poirot runs a finger down the column. Here is the conspiracy alive and wealthy, feeding on war profits and silence. But Geoffrey wanted to burn it all. Charles kicks a crate. Rats again, old man. Only this time they wear suits. A scrape echoes from the far corner. A shadow detaches from the wine racks. Victoria steps into the light, a candle in one hand, a slim stiletto in the other. Her dressing gown stained with cellar grime. You should not have come down here, she says, voice steady. The truth bites. Yes, but so do I. Poirot raises a hand. Peace, mademoiselle. The hour for blades has passed. Explain the blood on your sleeve. Victoria glances at the crimson streak fresh from a cut on her palm. I followed Charles last night. Heard the shot ran to the library, found uncle already dead. The dagger gone. I searched the tunnels for the killer. Cut myself on a nail. Poirot studies the wound. Shallow. Deliberate. He takes the stiletto from her unresisting. Fingers the blade clean. Yet the handle bears fingerprints in dried blood. Not yours, whose Victoria meets his gaze. Father's he found the dagger days ago. Kept it in his study, said it belonged to Elias the founder. I stole it back to protect the family. Charles stares, betrayal raw in his eyes. You knew, Poirot. Pockets the dagger. The circle tightens. Footsteps, thunder overhead. Lord Blackwood bellows from the stairwell. Grimshaw has vanished. The patrol ended at dawn, his room empty, bed untouched. Poirot turns to the trio. The butler served this house for 40 years, knew every stone, every secret. His absence is no coincidence. We return above the truth. Bites from within, they climb the stairs. Lanterns swinging shadows, leaping like accomplices in the entrance hall. They find the front doors wide open, fog rolling in across the threshold. On the marble floor, a single black feather wet with morning dew. Poirot kneels, the quill sharpened to a point ink, still clinging a message written in haste on. The wallpaper beside the coat stand, one word: traitor. The chapter closes with the feather twirling between Poirot's fingers. The net draws closed, but the fish may yet cut the line. Chapter 3. The feather and the forge. Poirot holds the black feather to a gas jet. The quill hisses and curls, revealing a watermark, a tiny crest of crossed hammers over an anvil. The Blackwood ironworks shuttered since 1887. He pockets the ash and strides toward the west wing, the family trailing like sleepwalkers behind him. The corridor narrows, portraits giving way to bare stone. A servant's passage hidden behind a tapestry of the Battle of Agincourt. He pushes the fabric aside. A low door yawns open. Iron hinges, screaming. The passage drops in a tight spiral, cold air rising from below, carrying coal dust and the tang of molten metal. Charles mutters the old smelting room grandfather sealed it after the strike. Poirot lights his pocket. Torch. The beam slicing through decades of cobwebs. Iron stairs clang underfoot until they reach a vaulted chamber. The forge itself, a brick oven, squat and black hammer, and tongs hung on racks. An anvil scarred by generations of sparks. In the centre stands Grimshaw Coat. Discarded apron tied his sleeves rolled high over corded forearms. He works a bellows with steady rhythm, sparks showering from a crucible where something glows. White hot. Lord Blackwood roars. "Traitor, you fled with the ledger." Grimshaw does not turn his voice calm as cooled steel. "The ledger is ash, my lord. The society died with Elias." I merely sweep the floor. Poirot steps forward, the heat blistering his cheeks. "What do you forge, butler?" Grimshaw lifts the crucible with. Tongs pours liquid metal into a sand mould, the shape of a signet ring, the EB crest in reverse. He sets it to cool, then faces them fully, his eyes flat as hammered tin. Geoffrey wanted to sell the ring, the last proof of the oath he came here alone. 3 nights ago, I warned him the forge remembers blood. He laughed, swung the dagger I took from the wall. The blade was already blooded by another hand. I only finished the cut. Victoria gasps, the blood on father's sleeve. Grimshaw nods. Lady Eleanor fainted in the rose garden that evening. Cut her wrist on the shears your father carried her inside. Wiped the blade clean on his cuff, then hid it in his study. I saw everything from the pantry window. Lord Blackwood lunges, but Charles restrains. Him. Poirot raises a hand enough the ring cools. We wait. Minutes pass, the only sound, the crackle of dying coals. Grimshaw breaks the mould. The ring gleams dull gold. He slips it onto his little finger. The fit perfect, this sealed letters for 200 years. Every member wore one. Geoffrey demanded I melt it. Destroy the evidence. I refused. He attacked. I defended. The dagger entered his heart. The second letter was mine. A warning to the rest of you. End the society, or the forge will claim another. Poirot examines the ring under his lens. The inner band engraved with a date 1789 and a motto in Latin, Ferro et Fide, by Iron and Faith. He turns to Lord Blackwood. Your brother wished to dissolve the order, yet you fought to preserve it. Why? Blackwood deflates, shoulders sagging. The investments, the war bonds, they fund the estate. Without them, we are bankrupt. The title, Dust. Poirot nods, motive upon motive. Yet the feather came from no raven. He scans the chamber torchlight, catching on a bundle in the corner. Raven feathers bundled with twine beside a pot of fresh ink and a sharpened quill. Grimshaw follows his gaze. I wrote the warnings, yes, to frighten you into silence. But the first killing was not mine. Geoffrey was dead when I arrived. The dagger already. Warm. Poirot kneels beside the bundle, lifts a single feather, longer than the rest, tipped with dried blood. Not ink, whose cloak sheds such plumage. A low groan echoes from the flue above. They look up. A soot-blackened grate swings open. A figure drops, landing cat-like. Dr. Hawthorne, face streaked with ash, a satchel slung across his chest. He raises both hands, empty. The chimney was my hiding place since dawn. Poirot smiles. The doctor returns like a bad penny. Explain. Hawthorne opens the satchel inside. The missing dagger wrapped in oilcloth and a sheaf of papers. The original charter of the society signed in blood by Elias and 12 others. The 12th signature smudged as if erased. Hawthorne speaks quickly. Geoffrey planned to expose us all. But someone struck first. I followed him to the library, found him dying. He pressed the charter into my hands, whispered, "Hide it, burn it." I climbed the flue instead, then watched Grimshaw arrive too late to save or to kill Poirot. Takes the dagger, the blade etched with the same crest, the handle wrapped in fresh leather to hide old fingerprints, whose leather Dr. Hawthorne hesitates. Victoria's riding gloves, she left them in the stables. I borrowed them to avoid leaving Prince Victoria's eyes widen. You stole my gloves to frame me. Hawthorne shakes his head. No, to protect you. The society marked you next. The letter promised a daughter for a daughter. Poirot turns the dagger, catching the light. The blood groove filled with residue not human, lamp oil and wax. The blade was wiped, then staged. Grimshaw, you poured metal, I poured words. Hawthorne poured smoke. The killer poured blood. Who gains most from chaos? Lord Blackwood speaks at last. The estate passes to Charles. If I die, childless, the society funds dissolve. Charles Pale's father. You would disinherit me. Blackwood nods. The conspiracy ends with my breath. Poirot lifts the charter. The smudged signature resolves under the torch, a flourish. An H, Doctor, you erased your own name. Hawthorne nods. I joined in 1916 to save my practice. The oath bound me. I wanted out. Geoffrey refused to release me. The dagger was meant for him, but another hand guided it. A bell tolls from the house above. Noon, Grimshaw banks. The fire, the ring cooling on. The anvil. Poirot gathers the evidence, dagger, charter, ring, feather each. A shard of the mosaic. He addresses them all. The killer stands among us, yet walks free. Tonight, the society meets one last time in the great hall. All must attend, no excuses. No weapons. Grimshaw will bar the doors until dawn. The chapter ends with the forge darkening the ring, pulsing like a dying heart. The net tightens, but the final knot remains unseen. Chapter 4. The great hall at dusk crimson sunset bleeds through the stained glass of the great hall, turning the Blackwood crest into a wound of light. Long oak table laid for 7 places, though only 6 will sit, candelabra, unlit chandeliers dark. The family enters in silence. Lord Blackwood, first leaning on a cane carved from the same ironwood as the forge anvil. Charles in dress uniform medals. Dull Victoria in mourning, black lace at her throat. Hawthorne carrying a small medical valise. Grimshaw, last barring the double doors with an iron key. The size of a man's hand. Poirot stands at the head of the table, a single chair pulled back. He does not sit. Instead, he places the charter in the centre, the parchment curling like a dying leaf. Beside it, the signet ring, the dagger, the bundle of raven feathers arranged in a perfect cross, the clock on the mantel. Strikes 6, the hour of the original oath. He says exactly 136 years ago, Elias gathered his 12 here. Tonight we finish what he began. He gestures each to a seat. Lord Blackwood opposite Victoria. Charles beside his father Hawthorne at the foot. Grimshaw remains by the door, arms folded. Poirot lifts the charter, the smudged signature now clear under candlelight. He has scraped away the soot with a razor, the name revealed, Sir Reginald Blackwood. The Lord himself signed twice, once in 1789, once in 1919, reincarnation or forgery. The room stills. Even the fire in the grate seems to listen. Lord Blackwood laughs dry, the sound of gravel under boot. I was a boy in 1919. My father forced the pen. The society needed a living Blackwood to keep the banks obedient. Geoffrey discovered the duplicate entry plan to prove fraud. Poirot nods fraud. Yes, but murder. No, the dagger entered from below the angle wrong for a standing man. Geoffrey knelt when struck. Why Victoria speaks, voice low. He knelt to the portrait, the one above the mantel. Elias in his judge robes. Geoffrey swore the eyes followed him that night. He begged forgiveness for breaking the oath. Poirot turns to the painting, the canvas taller than a man. The eyes indeed seem to move a trick of the glaze or something more. He lifts the frame. It swings on hidden hinges, revealing a narrow alcove, a leather-bound journal wedged inside. He opens the journal pages, brittle ink, faded entries from 1918, troop movements, coded gold shipments, signed EB, but the handwriting shifts midway. The slope changes the pressure lighter. A woman's hand, Lady Eleanor, enters from the side door unnoticed until now her pearls gone. Her hair loose, she holds a second dagger, identical to the first. The twin blade forged the same night, she says. Elias made two, one for loyalty, one for justice. Lord Blackwood rises you, were never part of this. Eleanor shakes her head. I was the part you forgot, the 12th member. My maiden name Hawthorne, the doctor's aunt. I signed in blood the night Charles was born to protect the line. Geoffrey threatened to expose the child as illegitimate. The war left records gaps. He filled them with lies. The dagger was meant to silence him forever. But Grimshaw arrived too soon. I hid in the alcove, waited for another chance. Hawthorne steps forward. Aren't you killed for a secret decades? Cold. Eleanor smiles. Sad the secret keeps the roof overhead, the title intact. Without it, Charles inherits nothing. Poirot lifts the journal. The final entry dated 3 nights ago. Geoffrey writes, I kneel to Elias tonight, begging release the society. Ends with me. The ink still wet when he died. He wrote his own confession. Then someone fulfilled it. Charles draws his service revolver from inside his jacket. The cylinder empty. He spins it anyway. The click loud in the hush, father. You would let her. Kill for a lie. Lord Blackwood sinks into his chair. Old, the fight gone. Poirot takes the revolver gently. The stage is set, yet the curtain hesitates. He turns to Grimshaw. Unlock the door. The butler obeys. The key scrapes. The doors swing wide, revealing the storm-returned rain lashing the courtyard. Lightning flashes illuminating a figure on the threshold cloaked in oilskin face, hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat, water streaming from the hem. The stranger steps inside, mud tracking across the flagstones, voice muffled but familiar. I am the 13th member, the one Elias never named. The hat lifts, revealing Captain Hastings soaked to the skin, a Webley revolver in his hand, loaded this time. Poirot smiles, mon ami. You took the long way. Hastings nods. I followed the tunnel from the forge. It leads to the old chapel graveyard. I found the cloak, the hat, a fresh grave dug last night, empty. The killer planned a vanishing. Hastings aims at Eleanor. Drop the dagger. She hesitates, then lets it fall, the blade ringing like a bell on stone. Poirot kneels beside it. The twin daggers side by side, one bloodied, one clean, yet both etched with the same flaw. A nick near the hilt made the night they were forged. He stands, the circle complete, the oath broken, the society exposed, yet one thread remains who dug the grave, and for whom the chapter ends with thunder shaking the rafters, the chandeliers swaying like hanged men, the final lie still breathing in the dark. Chapter 5. The empty grave rain lashes the chapel windows as the group crosses the sodden lawn, cloaks flapping like wounded ravens. Hastings leads torch in one hand, revolver in the other, the beam cutting through sheets of water to the iron gate. rusted open on broken hinges, the graveyard beyond a chessboard of leaning stones, moss-swallowing names. Poirot moves ahead. His shoes sinking in mud, he counts plots 12 ancient Blackwoods in a ring around a central mound. Fresh earth piled high, a spade stuck upright like a marker. He kneels, fingers digging into the soil, loose damp. No grass roots, the hole yawns 6 feet deep, lined with fresh pine boards. A coffin lid waits propped against a yew tree lid, nailed shut, but the nails new bright. Steel. Hastings pries one free. The wood groans open empty, save for a single object, a black wax seal pressed into sawdust, the EB crest cracked down the middle. Lord. Blackwood stares, the family vault is full. This plot was never consecrated, who ordered? The box. Charles answers. Voice flat. I did yesterday morning. The undertaker from the village thought it for Uncle Geoffrey. Until the inquest. Poirot lifts the seal. The wax warm, still soft, melted by body heat. Not rain. Someone lay here recently then. Rose Victoria shivers the cloak in the tunnel. The hat they belong to, the chapel sexton, old Marrowby. He vanished last. Michaelmas Poirot shakes his head. Marrowby died in the flu of 1919. His stone is there. He points to a small marker half hidden. By ivy, the date's clear, yet the earth around it disturbed footprints leading away. Size 10 narrow heel. Grimshaw speaks from the gate. I locked the chapel at vespers. No lamp, no prayer. Yet the bell tolled once at 3 this morning. I thought wind. Poirot turns the beam on the bell tower. The rope sways, though no breeze reaches inside. He climbs the spiral stair wood worm. Eaten each step a sigh at the top. The bell hangs mute, but the clapper gone. Replaced by a length of picture wire twisted. Tight. He descends, wire coiled in his pocket. The group waits in the pouring dark. Hawthorne opens his valise, produces a stethoscope, presses it to the empty coffin. No heartbeat, only the drum of rain, then a faint scratch beneath the pine. He taps 3. Times the answer comes 3 taps back from below. The false bottom Charles and Hastings lever. The boards a narrow space beneath a folded greatcoat and a leather satchel inside the satchel. A railway timetable circled departure tomorrow, dawn 2. Southampton. Then, the continent. Also a passport in the name of Sir Geoffrey Blackwood. Photograph. Fresh the eyes alive. Poirot opens the greatcoat lining sewn with banknotes, thick wads sterling and Swiss francs enough to buy a new name in Buenos. Heiress lady. Eleanor whispers. He planned to fake his death all along. The stabbing a stage trick. The blood pigs, blood from the kitchen. Poirot nods the angle low, because Geoffrey knelt on a cushion. The dagger thrust upward, then withdrawn the blade, wiped on the rug to leave the smear. But the conspirator who helped him, who struck the real blow when the curtain fell too soon. Lightning splits the sky, illuminating the chapel door ajar. A figure inside, cowled in the sexton's robe, face painted bone, white Marrowby's. Death mask from the crypt, the figure raises a lantern. The flame, green corpse. Light it steps forward. Voice altered, echoing from a tin tube. I am the guardian of the oath. The 13th lives Geoffrey hired me to play dead to vanish, with the gold. But he double-crossed me, locked me in the coffin to suffocate. The wire was my salvation. The mask lifts, revealing Dr. Hawthorne eyes wild. The paint cracking, the real Marrowby decayed decades ago. I needed his robe, his legend to move, unseen. The coffin was to be my exit with Geoffrey, but he nailed it shut from outside, left me to die. Poirot steps closer, The wire you cut the bell rope to signal rescue when Grimshaw passed the chapel. At 3 Hawthorne, laughs mad the bell brought. No one, only rain. I dug out through the pine, crawled to the tunnel shed. The robe planned to take the money myself, but the grave waited empty. Poirot lifts the passport your photographed, doctor, yet the name Geoffrey, the plan was yours from the start. You forged the death to steal the fortune. Hawthorne lunges for the satchel, but Charles blocks him. Revolver raised. Lord Blackwood speaks. Broken the society funded my folly. I signed the fraud to save the house Geoffrey discovered offered to bury. It for half the gold Hawthorne promised to silence him forever. The staged death, the perfect escape. Victoria turns on her father, you let them kill for bricks and mortar. Eleanor slaps him the pearls she wore now. A memory, the sound sharp as the dagger. Poirot gathers the evidence. Passport, money wire, mask, each piece clicking into place. Yet one question hangs: who sent the second letter? The one that led us to the cellar. Hawthorne sneers. I wrote them all to keep you chasing shadows while the coffin cooled. But the first letter, the black wax, arrived before the murder. Geoffrey wrote it himself to set the stage. Then someone used his seal after death. A low rumble shakes the ground. The chapel floor cracks. A stone slab lifts, pushed from. Below, Sir Geoffrey Blackwood climbs out, earth on his evening clothes. Blood crusted at his collar. The wound shallow, a scalpel cut, not a dagger thrust. He sways, voice hoarse. The play ran long. Doctor, you were to pull me free at the interval instead. You sealed the exit. Hawthorne backs away. The mask slipping entirely. Now just a man unmasked. Geoffrey coughs. I paid you to stage my death. The blood, the collapse, the coffin on wheels to the tunnel. But you took the money and ran, left me to suffocate. I clawed through the false bottom, hid in the crypt until the drug wore off. Poirot smiles, the little grey cells applaud. A resurrection, most theatrical. Geoffrey points to the satchel. Half is mine, the deal stands. Hawthorne screams, never lunges for. The revolver Charles fires once the bullet shatters the lantern. Green flame spreads across the oil-soaked stone. Hawthorne falls, the mask melting into his skin. The chapter ends with fire licking the chapel rafters, the empty grave yawning like a mouth that finally speaks the truth. Chapter 6. The crypt. Beneath the crypt, firelight from the burning chapel throws long shadows across the graveyard as the group stumbles back toward the house. Geoffrey leaning on Charles' arm, the shallow wound oozing through his torn shirt. Poirot walks ahead, the satchel of money slung over his shoulder. The passport tucked inside his coat. The night air thick with smoke and the smell of wet earth. He stops at the family mausoleum, a squat marble box half swallowed by ivy. The iron door unlocked, chain cut clean with bolt cutters. He pushes inside the torch beam, revealing 6 stone sarcophagi in 2 rows, each lid carved with the Blackwood crest. But the newest lid, the one marked Sir Geoffrey Blackwood, 1880–1925, lies askew, a crowbar wedged. Beneath Hastings heaves the stone slides with a grinding scream. The coffin inside empty, lined with fresh satin. No body, no dust, only a brass plaque screwed to the bottom. The inscription reading, "The 13th rests." Below, Poirot kneels, fingers tracing. The plaque, a hairline crack runs its length. He presses the center, clicks open like a music box. A narrow staircase spirals down into absolute black. The air colder here, tasting of candle smoke and old incense. Victoria whispers the crypt beneath. The crypt grandfather sealed it after the war, said the society met there once a year on All Souls. They descend single file, the steps worn into scoops by centuries of feet, the walls lined with iron sconces wax, long hardened into stalactites at the bottom, a round chamber 12 feet across a stone table in the centre, ringed by 13 high-backed chairs, each carved with a different symbol hammer, anvil, raven quill, dagger, open book. The 13th chair empty, its back split as if axed. In rage on the table lies a leather folio tied with black ribbon. Poirot opens it. Maps, hand-drawn coastlines, ports, arrows, marking gold routes from Flanders to Zurich to Valparaiso, dates inked beside each arrow. 1916, 1917, 1918, the final page. A ledger, balance sheet assets, in the millions liabilities, one line only. The blood of the 13th. Geoffrey stares the fortune. I was to take half for silence, the rest to vanish. Lord Blackwood enters last, his cane tapping slow. I sat in that chair in 1919. Your mother beside me, Eleanor. The ribbon in her hair, black. Even then, we voted to continue the trade war, made us rich. Peace would bankrupt us. Geoffrey was to be the last guardian. Instead, he chose exile. Poirot lifts a small tin box from beneath. The table inside 13 wax seals, each cracked, but one, the 13th, intact. The crest perfect, he holds it to the torch. The wax warm. Someone pressed this tonight while we chased ghosts above Grimshaw steps from the shadows. I barred the doors. At dusk, no one left the hall. Poirot smiles, then someone never entered. He turns the torch on the walls. A section of stone swings inward. A second passage narrower. Damp footprints. Fresh size 10 again, leading away into darkness. Hastings follows revolver. Ready. The tunnel twists, left then right. The air growing warmer, a faint glow ahead. They emerge into the wine cellar. The racks pushed aside a false wall. Now open beyond it, the boiler room furnace roaring, a figure in oilskins. Feeds documents into the flame's face, hidden by a gas mask. The hose hissing like a serpent. Poirot calls. Halt. The figure spins a pistol in gloved hand. The mask muffles the voice. You were to burn the ledger, not the oath. The shooter fires the bullet. Ricochets off the iron furnace, door sparks, showering. Hastings tackles the legs. The mask comes off in the struggle, revealing Lady Eleanor, hair-singed, eyes bright with fury. The pistol, her late husband's service piece. From the bore, War Charles stares. Mother, you, Eleanor, laughs the laugh of a woman who has carried a secret for 30 years. I signed the oath before your father did. The society was mine by birth. The Hawthorns founded the ironworks. Elias was my ancestor, not his. She gestures at Lord Blackwood. Geoffrey promised me half the gold to stage his death, then planned to leave me buried with the past. I shot the blank into the cushion he fell. I cut the wound myself shallow, then sealed Hawthorne in the coffin to take the blame. Geoffrey lunges. But Victoria holds him back. The maps burn. The ledger curls black. Eleanor backs toward the furnace. The gold is ash now. The oath dies with me. She raises the pistol to her own temple. Poirot steps forward one pace. Madame the 13th seal is unbroken, the oath. Lives in wax, not paper. Drop the weapon. She hesitates. The pistol wavers. Grimshaw moves behind her, silent, as smoke wrenches the gun free. The barrel hot enough to blister his palm. Eleanor collapses, weeping the society. My birthright. My curse. Poirot kneels beside her, the seal in his hand, the wax soft. He presses it to the stone floor. The crest flattens. The oath ends here. Upstairs, the chapel fire has reached the bell tower. The bronze bell crashes through burning beams. the sound rolling across, the more like judgment. The chapter ends with the furnace dying to embers. The map's gone, the gold intact in the satchel, the 13th chair empty forever, the house itself exhaling 2 centuries of smoke. Chapter 7. The Vault of the 12. The furnace door hangs open like a broken jaw, red coals pulsing in the dark. Poirot kneels beside Lady Eleanor, her wrists bound with Grimshaw's leather belt, the wax seal cooling into a flat disc on the flagstones. He lifts it, the crest now, a shallow crater, the oath officially broken, yet the air in the boiler room feels heavier, as if the house itself refuses to believe the ritual complete. Hastings wipes soot from his face. The tunnel behind us leads back, to the crypt, but there was a branch I felt cold air another way. Poirot nods. The house has more lungs than one. He stands the satchel of banknotes heavy against his hip. The maps may burn, but numbers live in ledgers, and ledgers live in vaults. He leads them upward through the wine cellar, the false walls swinging shut behind them with a soft click that echoes like a coffin lid. The racks slide back into place on hidden runners. Grimshaw's doing. No doubt the butler knew every artery of Blackwood Hall. They climb the main staircase, the banister sticky with rain. Blown through shattered windows, the storm has passed, but the sky remains the colour of bruised steel in the entrance hall. The grandfather clock lies on its face, glass, shattered hands, frozen at 3:17, the exact minute the chapel bell fell. Poirot steps over the wreckage and stops before a full-length mirror set into the panelling, the glass spider webbed from a bullet, the reflection fractured into a dozen Poirots, each moustache perfect. He presses the lower left corner, the mirror swings inward, revealing a narrow iron door set, flush with the wainscot, a combination lock, 12 tumblers, 1 for each. Founder. Victoria whispers, "Grandfather changed the code the night war was." Declared, said only, "Blood opens, blood." Poirot studies the dial, each tumbler engraved with a rune, matching the chairbacks in the crypt. Hammer raven quill, he spins them slowly. The sequence from the ledger dates 1789. The year Elias hanged thee. Lock clicks the door. Sighs open on counterweights. A spiral stair of black iron descending into the bedrock. They descend. The air grows warmer. Dry electric bulbs strung on bare wire flicker to life. Motion triggered the stair ends in a circular vault, 30 feet across, walls of dressed granite. The floor inlaid with a mosaic of the crest in lapis and gold leaf. 12 iron strongboxes line the curve, each labelled with a founder's name. The 13th space empty. A scorched outline where its box once stood. Poirot moves to the box marked E. Blackwood, the lid sealed with red wax, the crest intact. He cracks it open. Inside stacks of bearer bonds, Swiss, Italian, American, each clipped with a brass tag, dated 1914 to 1918. The interest alone enough to buy a small country next box. Hawthorne medical patents for battlefield morphine variants signed over to a shell company in Liechtenstein. The third Grimshaw deeds to collieries in Wales closed after the strike profits siphoned for decades. Charles opens his great-grandfather's box photographs, sepia plates of officers in spiked helmets, shaking hands with Blackwood ancestors, captions in German. The dates 1915 ammunition contracts, sold to both sides. Victoria finds a velvet pouch inside her own family slot, 12 perfect rubies, each the size of a musket ball. Blood money from the Boer mines lord. Blackwood stands before the empty space. The 13th box, He runs a trembling hand over the scorch marks, melted iron drips, frozen in time. This held the master ledger, the one Geoffrey copied before he vanished. Eleanor had the key I thought lost in the war. Poirot lifts a thin chain from the debris, a brass key blackened by heat, still warm. The lock long gone, the box removed and burned. Low hum starts beneath the floor tiles. Vibrate. The mosaic crest splits along invisible seams. The entire center circle descends on hydraulic rams, revealing a glass cylinder rising from below. Inside stands the missing strongbox upright on a pedestal, of black marble. The lid open, the master ledger gone. But something else remains. A human hand severed at the wrist skin. Waxen fingers curled around a fountain pen. The nail of the index finger painted black, hawthorn gags. The hand, Geoffrey's, the ring finger bears the signet. We melted in the forge. Poirot leans closer, the cut clean surgical. The blood drained the flesh, preserved in formalin. The pen, a Mont Blanc. The nib bent from writing under pressure. He lifts the hand gently, the wrist stump, sealed with gold leaf, the crest pressed into the metal, the 13th seal reapplied in flesh. Grimshaw speaks voice, hollow. The vault was designed to punish oath breakers. The box lowers. The hand rises. The founder who betrays loses the hand. That, signed, Poirot nods. Elias believed in balance. The ledger records the punishment. This hand was taken tonight while we chased fire. He turns the cylinder. The glass rotates a plaque on the base engraved with fresh tool marks. The date today, the initials. GB, cut deep. Geoffrey Blackwood punished himself to end the cycle. The chapter ends with the glass cylinder locking into place, the hand frozen in eternal signature, the vault lights dimming to a single bulb over the empty 13th space, the house finally exhaling its last secret. Chapter 8. The hand that signed. The single bulb over the 13th space swings slow, casting the severed hand in a pendulum of light and dark. Poirot stands motionless, the glass cylinder humming like a hive, the gold leaf seal on the wrist stump, catching the glow with every pass, the pen still clutched as if mid-sentence, the nib bent inward from the force of a final flourish. Hastings breaks the silence. The man cut off his own hand to end the oath. Poirot shakes his head. No, mon ami, the cut is post-mortem. The arteries collapsed. The flesh blanched. See the line here? He points to a faint bruise around the wrist ligature mark. The hand was tied, drained, then removed with a bone saw. The work of a surgeon. Hawthorne steps forward, knees weak. That saw is in my bag, the one I used for amputations in the trenches. Geoffrey asked to borrow it yesterday, said he needed to trim a branch in the orchard. I thought nothing of it. Poirot opens the valise. The saw lies clean, wrapped in oilcloth, the teeth polished, but one gap filled with a sliver of pink tissue. Victoria turns away the rubies in her pouch, suddenly heavy as guilt. Charles slams his box shut, the photographs scattering like guilty leaves. Lord Blackwood stares at the empty space, where the master ledger burned his reflection, fractured in the polished marble. The vault is a tomb, and we are the corpses still breathing. Grimshaw moves to the wall, presses a recessed stone. A panel slides aside, revealing a small alcove. A brass telephone ancient crank handle the wire running into the bedrock. He lifts the receiver. The line dead, yet a faint click answers from the earpiece. Someone listening on the other end. Poirot takes the phone. Listens. The breathing, shallow, familiar. He hangs up the vault. Has ears. He returns to the cylinder. The hand has rotated fully. The palm, now visible, a faint tattoo on the lifeline. The number 13, in Roman numerals, the ink fresh, the skin still supple. Death no more than 6 hours old. Geoffrey lives, or lived, until the blade fell. The question is where the body bleeds. A drop of blood falls from the ceiling, splashes on the glass. Another then, a slow crimson rain. The bulb flickers, the mosaic floor tilting. Imperceptibly, the vault is flooding. From above, Poirot looks up the granite ceiling, seamless, yet the blood seeps through hairline cracks, the colour, dark, almost black, Venus. Hastings shouts the boiler room, the furnace we left the coals. Poirot nods, the heat expanded the pipes, the blood is pumped from the body. Above they run the iron stair spiralling upward, the telephone wire trailing like an umbilical. The vault door swings shut behind them, the lock engaging with a final thud. They burst into the boiler room, the furnace door wide, the coals white hot. A copper tube runs from the firebox upward through the ceiling. A crude pump bellows attach the handle slick with blood. Geoffrey lies on the workbench naked to the waist, his right arm ending in a cauterized stump, the saw. Beside him, a tourniquet of picture wire biting deep into the bicep. His eyes open, fixed on the rafters. Poirot kneels, the stump seared with a branding iron, the crest pressed into the flesh. The smell of burned meat. Thick Geoffrey's lips move, the words barely air. The hand signed the end. The oath dies with the flesh. Release me. He gestures with his left hand to a small vial on the bench label in Hawthorne's writing potassium. Cyanide, Lady Eleanor enters from the tunnel, her wrists raw from the belt she has slipped free, her eyes dry, the madness burned out. I pumped the blood to flood the vault, to drown the evidence. The hand was to be the final seal. Geoffrey agreed to the sacrifice, then changed his mind. Tried to crawl away. I held him down. Grimshaw branded the stump to stop the bleeding. Lord Blackwood raises his cane to strike, but Charles catches it. Father enough, the house has taken enough flesh. Poirot lifts the vial, the cyanide clear, the dose lethal. He places it in Geoffrey's. Left hand, the choice is yours, sir. The oath or the man. Geoffrey closes his eyes. The fingers tighten, the vial rolls to the floor unbroken. Hawthorne picks it up, his own hand shaking. I can end his pain. Morphine, not poison. Poirot allows it the needle, slides into the vein. Geoffrey's breathing slows, the stump no longer bleeds. The eyes close, the vault below ceases its crimson rain. The pump handle stills. Grimshaw opens the furnace door. The coals collapse into ash. The copper tube glows, then sags. The telephone wire melts, the line finally dead. The chapter ends with Geoffrey's body cooling on the bench. The severed hand below signing nothing. The vault silent, the 12th seal, the only one left intact on the strongbox of Elias himself. Chapter 9. The last seal of Elias. The boiler room settles into a hush, broken only by the slow drip of blood from the workbench onto the stone floor. Each drop a dull red pearl that spreads and cools Geoffrey's chest, no longer rises the morphine, has carried him across the final border. Poirot stands over the body, his small frame rigid, the torch in his left hand, now steady. The beam fixed on the cauterized stump, where the Blackwood crest has been burned into living flesh. The skin blistered and black, the ridges of the brand still smoking faintly. Hastings wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. The air thick with iron and coal, and the sweet, sick smell of seared meat. He whispers, "Old man." The man cut off his own hand to end it all, yet lived long enough to watch it displayed like a trophy. Poirot does not answer at once. He is studying the copper pump. The bellows collapsed, the leather cracked from heat, the tube that carried Geoffrey's blood down to the vault now sagging, like a gutted snake lady. Eleanor sits on an overturned crate, her wrists ringed with purple bruises from the belt, her gaze fixed on the floor where the blood pools around her shoes. She speaks without looking up. I held the brand Grimshaw pumped. The blood Hawthorne measured the dose. We each took a part, thinking the oath demanded balance, but the oath was only ever a mirror for our own greed. Lord Blackwood leans against the furnace, his cane clattering to the ground, the ironwood head split, from the earlier blow his voice a rasp. The vault. The 12th seal, Elias himself. What does it hold? Poirot turns the torch beam toward the iron stair. The vault door still closed below the flood of blood. Now a shallow lake lapping at the strongboxes. The glass cylinder with the severed hand, floating palm up the pen, still clutched like a quill in a dead scribe's grip. We descend one last time. Poirot says, his voice calm as winter water. The house has exhaled its secrets, but the founder keeps. The final breath, they move single file. Grimshaw first carrying a storm lantern, Hastings with the revolver, Charles supporting his father Victoria, clutching the velvet pouch of rubies as if they might fly away Hawthorne last the medical valise. Slung empty over his shoulder, the morphine vial spent. The vault door stands ajar, the lock shattered from within by the pressure of the blood. The mosaic floor slick, the strongboxes gleam wet and dark. The 12th box, the one marked E. Blackwood, 1652-1725, stands alone on its pedestal, the seal intact, the wax deep crimson, the colour of arterial blood, not the black of the warnings, the crest perfect. No crack, no flaw. Poirot approaches the box, his shoes leaving prints in the blood. He lifts the seal, the wax warm, almost alive. He presses a thumbnail into the edge. It yields like fresh skin beneath the surface. Something shifts, a faint click. The lid swings upward on hidden hinges inside. Not gold, not bonds, not deeds, but a single object, a human heart, preserved in a crystal jar, the muscle shriveled yet intact, the arteries tied with black silk, the jar sealed with the same crimson wax, the crest pressed into the glass itself. Victoria gasps, the heart of Elias. They said he was buried with it in the chapel. Poirot lifts the jar. The liquid inside, clear, the heart suspended as if still beating the silk threads embroidered with tiny letters. The oath in miniature ferro et fide, repeated 12 times the 13th thread, missing the knot undone. Grimshaw sets the lantern on the floor, the flame steady. The vault lights long dead. He speaks. The founder was embalmed in the chapel, but the heart was removed. The night he hanged the 12, took it as relic. Each swore to guard a portion of the fortune, the heart, the lock, the vault, the key. But the 13th, the guardian, was never named until tonight. Hawthorne kneels beside the pedestal, his fingers tracing the base. A hairline seam runs the circumference. He presses. The crystal rotates the jar, clicks into a new position. The pedestal descends 6 inches, revealing a second compartment, a small iron casket, the lid engraved with the Roman theme. The lock open, the hasp snapped by, force Poirot opens the casket inside a single sheet of vellum. The original oath handwritten in iron gall ink, the signatures of the 12 in blood, the 13th, space blank, but beneath it a fresh print, a thumb in crimson. The ridges clear. The pattern matching the severed hand above Geoffrey's final signature. In his own blood, the oath accepted and broken in the same stroke. Charles reads over Poirot's shoulder the clause at the bottom. Whosoever breaks the chain shall offer the hand that signed and the heart that swore. The cycle ends with the 13th. Poirot nods. Geoffrey understood the only way to dissolve the society was to complete the ritual himself. The hand, the heart, the blood, the vault accepts, the sacrifice. Lord Blackwood staggers forward, his eyes on the heart. My grandfather told me Elias died cursing the rope broke his neck did not. The heart was cut out while he still breathed to bind the 12 forever. Poirot lifts the jar. The silk threads unravel at his touch. The heart sinks to the bottom. The crystal cracks along the crest. The wax seal splitting like a wound. A low rumble starts in the walls. The strong boxes vibrate. The blood on the floor begins to recede, sucked into drains hidden beneath the mosaic. The vault is purging itself. The lantern flame gutters, then steadies. Grimshaw lifts it high, the light catching on something new in the empty 13th space. A small brass plaque newly screwed to the wall. The inscription reading, "The cycle ends. 28, October 1925. G. Blackwood." 13th and last, Hastings touches the plaque, the metal warm, the screws still spinning from the vibration, the date today, the hour within the last minute. Poirot smiles. The little grey cells record the exact moment the house dies with its master. The oath fulfilled, the fortune intact, but ownerless. Lady Eleanor rises, her voice steady. The rubies, the bonds, the deeds they belong to. No one. Now the banks will seize the accounts, the crown will claim. The patents, the mines are flooded. The society dissolves into dust. Poirot closes the casket, the vellum inside curling at the edges. He slips it into his pocket. The only document that matters now is the one that says the story is finished. They climb the iron stair, the vault door swinging wide behind them, the blood trail already, drying the heart jar left on the pedestal. The crystal shattered, the muscle exposed to air for the first time in 2 centuries. The silk threads unravelling like the society itself in the boiler room. Geoffrey's body has been covered with Grimshaw's, coat the stump wrapped in linen. The face peaceful, the eyes closed, the cyanide vial untouched on the floor. Victoria opens the pouch. The rubies spill across the workbench, 12 stones catching the lantern light like drops of frozen blood she lines. Them up one, beside each strongbox label, a silent accounting. Charles gathers the photographs, the German officers, the ammunition contracts. He feeds them into the dying furnace. The paper curls black, the faces vanish. Lord Blackwood takes the bearer, bonds from the open boxes, stacks them neatly, ties them with the black ribbon from the folio. The fortune reduced to a parcel, the size of a prayer book. Hawthorne closes his empty valise. The morphine gone. The saw clean. He places it beside Geoffrey's. Body, a doctor's tools return to their owner. Grimshaw banks, the furnace, the last coals covered in ash. The copper tube removed. The pump dismantled, the boiler room. Just a room again. The house exhaling its final heat. Poirot stands at the door, the satchel of remaining banknotes over his shoulder. the vellum oath in his breast pocket, the severed hand still below signing nothing. He turns to the group. The inquest will call it suicide. The wound self-inflicted, the ritual complete. The police will find the vault, the heart, the blood. The story will be madness, but the banks will believe the documents. The fortune will scatter. The title will fade. Blackwood Hall will stand empty. The curse lifted by the cursed. The first grey of dawn creeps. Through the broken windows, the storm spent the moor silent. Poirot steps into the courtyard, the gravel crunching under his shoes. The others follow single file. The great oak doors close behind them, with a soft thud that echoes through the empty halls. The chapter ends with the house dark. The vault sealed the 12th seal. Melted the 13th fulfilled the hand. The heart the oath. All dust in the wind that now blows clean across the moor. Chapter 10. The dawn that erased the night dawn creeps over the moor like a thief, pale gold light slipping between the broken teeth of the chapel. Ruins, the bell lies cracked in the mud, its tongue silent. The graveyard stones lean as if bowing to the end of an era. Poirot stands on the front steps of Blackwood Hall. The great oak doors barred from within. By Grimshaw's final act, the iron key bent in the lock. The house sealed like a sarcophagus. The satchel of banknotes at his feet. The vellum, oath folded small in his waistcoat pocket. The only relic he will carry away. Hastings emerges from the missed revolver, holstered now empty. The 6 rounds spent in warning shots to keep the crows from Geoffrey's body until the undertaker arrives. He carries a small tin box, the one from the vault. The severed hand inside, wrapped in Hawthorne's linen. The finger with the bent nib pen still curled as if writing on air. The gold leaf seal on the stump, catching the first ray of sun. Behind them, the family forms a ragged line, no longer lords and ladies, but survivors in borrowed coats and muddied boots. Lord Blackwood leans on Charles, his cane left inside the ironwood head, split like the society itself. Victoria clutches the velvet pouch, now empty, the 12 rubies placed one by one on the workbench beside Geoffrey's body. A blood price returned to the dead lady. Eleanor walks barefoot, the soles cut by glass, her pearls long lost in the vault flood, her hair loose and grey in the morning light. The madness burned out, leaving only exhaustion. Hawthorne brings up the rear, the medical valise slung empty. The morphine vial shattered in the boiler room. The saw left on the bench, its teeth cleaned with turpentine. The pink tissue, gone, the doctor's hands steady. For the first time since the war, the oath that bound him dissolved in Geoffrey's blood. Grimshaw is last. The butler's apron discarded, his sleeves rolled high. The forged scars on his forearms, pale against the dawn. He carries the brass telephone receiver. The wire cut, the cradle melted. The last voice of the house, silenced. Poirot turns to face them. The wind lifting the edges of his coat, the moustache immaculate despite the night. His voice clear as the bell that will never ring again. Listen carefully, the story is complete. The conspiracy unveiled, the oath fulfilled. Every thread tied, every knot severed. What remains is the accounting. He begins with Elias Blackwood, the founder, hanged in 1725, for treason against the crown. The charge false. The evidence forged by rivals who coveted the ironworks the night before the gallows. The 12 met in the crypt beneath the crypt. Elias cut out his own heart with the twin daggers, the silk threads embroidered. With the oath sewn through the muscle, the heart placed in the crystal jar, the vault built around it, the strong boxes filled with the first gold from the mines, the society born in blood to protect the fortune and the name. The cycle repeated, every generation the 12th member, always a Blackwood, the 13th, the guardian chosen in secret, the hand that signed the oath offered. If the chain broke the ritual designed to end the society, if ever it threatened the family, the vault, the heart, the hand, the blood. The final seal in 1914. The war came, the 12 voted to profit ammunition to both sides, medical patents sold to the highest bidder. Gold moved through neutral banks, the fortune swelled, the oath renewed. In 1919, Lord Blackwood, old boy, forced to sign by his father, Lady Eleanor. Then Hawthorne, already the 12th by birth, the society richer than empires. Geoffrey discovered the fraud in 1925, the duplicate signature, the offshore accounts, the war crimes buried in ledgers. He demanded dissolution, threatened exposure to the Treasury. The family voted to silence him. The staged death, the coffin, the tunnel, the doctor hired to cut the wound shallow, the butler to pump the blood, the mother to brand the stump, the son to fire, the warning shot, the daughter to steal the gloves, the father to watch. But Geoffrey understood the ritual. He agreed to the sacrifice to complete the cycle, to become the 13th, the hand severed post-mortem. The heart jar cracked by his own design, the blood pumped to flood the vault, the oath accepted in his own thumbprint, the society dissolved by the rules it created, the fortune scattered the title dust, the house empty. Poirot opens the satchel, the remaining banknotes flutter in the wind. He tears them in half, the halves in half again. The pieces rising like white moths over the moor. The banks will find the bonds, the deeds, the patents the crown will claim. The rest, the rubies will pay the undertaker, the photographs burn, the maps, ash. The telephone dead, the vault sealed, the heart exposed, the hand returned. He opens the tin box. The severed hand lies palm up, the black nail, the bent pen, the gold leaf seal. He places it on the bottom step. The crows will come. The moor will take. What is left, the ritual complete, the cycle, ended, Lord. Blackwood speaks, his voice a whisper, the title. Charles inherits nothing. The house crumbles, the name fades. Poirot nods. The name was the curse, the fortune, the chain, the oath, the cage. You are. Free Victoria steps forward, her bare feet leaving prints in the dew. She places the empty pouch on the step beside the hand. The rubies were my dowry. The blood of the boars now returned to the earth. Charles lays the empty revolver beside it, the warning shot that started the night. Hastings adds the bent key from the oak doors, the house locked forever. Hawthorne places the shattered morphine vial, the doctor's mercy. Grimshaw sets the melted telephone receiver. The last voice silenced Lady Eleanor lays her wedding ring. The pearls long gone, the circle complete. Poirot steps back. The wind catches the torn banknotes. The white moths swirl upward. The sun clears the horizon. The moor drinks the light. The house stands dark. The windows blind. The doors barred the vault below, already filling with groundwater, the heart rotting the hand food for crows. The oath dust. He turns to Hastings. The motor car waits beyond the gate, the road to London, the inquest, the explanation, suicide ritual, madness. The police will close the file. The banks will fight. The crown will win. The family will scatter, the name will vanish. They walk the gravel path, the family behind single file, no longer a line of suspects, but a procession of the freed, the moor swallows, the sound of their footsteps. The house shrinks behind them. The chapel ruins smoke no longer. The bell cracked the graveyard still. The vault silent, the conspiracy dead. At the gate, Poirot pauses one last look. The crow lands on the step pecks at the severed hand. The black nail glints. The bent pen rolls. The gold leaf flakes. The ritual accepted. The cycle broken, the dawn clean. The motor car starts the engine, coughs then steadies. They drive away the moor, rolling out like a green sea. The house, a dark ship sinking behind them. The chapter ends, the story ends, the conspiracy. Ends the night erased by the dawn that finally came, like the tale. Subscribe for more mysteries that chill and thrill. Your support keeps the little grey cells spinning. Comment your favourite twist below. Until the next case, au revoir.